Hey guys, it's Merrick again, and I believe it is kind of high time for another form of game and chat. Like, alright, so for those who are new and don't know what a game and chat is, it's an on and off thing that I do where I have an idea that I feel would make like a good discussion, and I will talk about my idea, and I'll throw it, and we continue the discussion down in the comments or wherever you want to continue the discussion, I guess, or I don't know. Anyway, the point is that like it's just a fun little thing that I haven't done in a while, and I actually have a thought that has kind of not been escaping me. And what's not helping is that we recently got a re-release, as in literally today, I think, for a game that that is kind of featuring my idea a little bit. And my thoughts are, whatever happened to like spooky shit in E-rated games? Now, like I know what everybody's thinking. Like, oh, like what do you mean by like spooky shit? Well, I'm talking like the eldritch sort of horror, that type of stuff, and like all this other like crazy ass shit that like I've not seen in a rated E title in a long time. And I've kind of noticed that there's about two games currently. Well, the one that was recently released, which I'll get into, because it has to do with it and it was released in the past and everything like that. And one game that I know that consistently does it is Kirby. And it's like the only game that does this type of stuff nowadays. Like, it's got this cutesy exterior and everything like that, right? But then when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's like, oh shit. It's like all this other like fucking horrifying crap, like Zero, Zero Two, Dark Matter, all that stuff. That's what I'm talking about. There's none of this hidden dark stuff in like these rated E titles anymore, and it's very weird and jarring. And like I said, when I think about it, it's like there are some games that do it, and then like some are better than others that do it nowadays. Like, for example, I'd say Cuphead would be a game that actually does like the sort of hidden creepy stuff in it. But I I don't particularly look at Cuphead in that way because, well, it's kind of done at random and just in service of the animation rather than say, oh, for a story reason or whatever. Like, that's what I'm getting at here. Like, a lot of this stuff is more so like, oh, for example, Kirby, oh, like the hidden final boss is like this horrifying monster that, is unlike most of the stuff. And even then, some of them, like Nightmare, are pretty tame by comparison to like something like Zero or I guess Void Termina or whatever. So this is what I mean. Like in the past, we had games like Klonoa where it's kind of like a nightmare where like you're exploring through dreams, and the final boss, like Nahatum, right, would be like this horrifying creature of like unknown reality and all this other shit, right? It's just this evil entity that has something to do with like the villain Gaudius's plans, or like it's his ruler or something like that, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I actually played the thing, and it's kind of the reason that I was thinking about it because we got the re-release of Klonoa 1 and 2, and I'm like, it was just been sticking in my brain for the longest time since I heard about it. So the craziest part was, so especially in like Klonoa 2, we even got like a dark moment where Leorina gets corrupted by like her ring, and she becomes like this. She just transforms into a monster, and that's a dark scene. That's horrifying, and that's not really like I don't want to say not touched upon like later on, but like it's something that you don't see really anymore. And like I'm thinking, because like in the past we also had like Sly Cooper, where Clockwork, the main villain, went so far as to like stalk the Cooper family due to his intense hatred for them. Not only that, but replace his body with machinery and use his hatred to power that body and keep him alive for like millennia for the most part. You don't see stuff like that anymore. You don't see like like I guess Jak and Daxter a little bit. Like Gal and Maya were pretty scary, but even then, like I know that the sequels were like rated T for teen, but they had some crazy fucking shit in them too, like the Dark Makers, for example, being like, evil sort of like it's out like evil sort of like precursors out to destroy the world and everything like that. Like it's somewhat few and far between each sort of example of it. Even Paper Mario did this with something like, Super Paper Mario having like the existential dread of, the world's just coming to an end, or maybe like, a scary character like the Shadow Queen in Thousand Year Door, who literally is just, a freaking sort of almost faceless entity that takes over Princess Peach and is gets the final boss and has history in the game and everything like that. Like, she serves a major plot point and everything. And even then, other games, like, there's games like Terraria, for example, right? Like, it's not exactly an E-rated title, but it kind of has what I'm looking for in terms of this sort of thing. Like I said, in an E-rated title, because, like, you know that there's, like, a dark undertone as soon as you kill, like, a rabbit. There's just there's visible blood and shit. So, it's like, well, this is what I mean. Like, the Brain of Cthulhu's great design, and not all the bosses have the sort of, like, weird horror, like, horrific monster design. And even then, like I said, it's rated T, so it's there for whatever reason. It's there for, like, one reason or another anyway. So that's what I'm getting at. Why don't we see these horrifying, like, sort of boss enemies or, like, story-related things anymore? It's just stuff that's, like, cool, then it gets you. It's kind of like a good entryway into horror stuff, I guess is the best way to put it, and sort of gives you like this sort of feeling of like things are not always as they seem, so to speak. It's not like it's not like a perfect example of it, but it's a great way for things to sort of build off of and whatnot, and it's kind of cool that that type of stuff was able to be shown and is able to be like represented. I know like another great modern example that I haven't played yet, but I apparently heard a lot of stuff about like the existential dread / like all this other stuff behind something like Bugsnax. Once again, I've yet to play it, but I've heard things, so maybe that has something that I'm looking for, and I know it was made by the same guys who made Octodad, and that's a cutesy game. But like this is the thing. Do you think that this is missing, or do you think that there's a sort of underappreciated aspect to these types of bosses? Or do you think that I'm out of my mind and there's this stuff all the time in like E-rated titles? Once again, like I'd like to hear your thoughts, and let's start a conversation down in the comments section, because I'd love to hear people's thoughts on this topic. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for joining me for this. And I'll see you guys when I see you around. Thank you. Have a good day.